Hey, what's up? This is Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and we are going to be building our very first single server with Terraform on AWS. So, to get started, we need to tell Terraform what we're going to do. In order to do that, we're going to make a file called main.tf for Terraform. Now, AWS is a provider, so we are going to tell Terraform we're going to be using a provider. Which one? AWS. And what pray tell what we want to tell AWS? We're going to tell them that, hey, I want to be in region US East 1. Now you can do whatever region you want. Now, I have a provider. Now, what I want to do in US East 1, I want to build something. And every something in Terraform is called a resource. So we're going to build a resource. And the Terraform provider, AWS provider, knows that AWS instance means EC2 instance. And I'm just going to name it test instance. And in this test instance, I'm going to make an AMI, or I'm going to use an AMI, and I'm going to pass an instance type so it knows what type of EC2 instance, and we're just going to pick T2 micro, and then we're going to go get our AMI ID. So the easiest way I like to do to get AMI IDs is I pretend like I'm going to launch an instance, and I just go down and browse more AMIs, and I just look for Amazon Linux 2023, and I just copy this. Now, this is different in every region, so you want to make sure that if you're using multiple regions that you have the right AMI ID. So in this case, for US East 1, that's my AMI for Amazon Linux 2023. So that's all I need. So once this is up and done, then you need to initialize this directory so that the Terraform module is ready to go. And what we call this whole file that we're working on right now, this is a module, and this module builds an instance. So let's go ahead and initialize this. So we're going to say Terraform init, and it's going to download a directory called .terraform, and inside of it, there's a binary that has the AWS provider. We don't need this in Bitbucket, nor do we need something called the state file, which I'll go over later. So let's go ahead and make a .get ignore file right now and get ahead of this. So I'm just going to say, hey, don't upload the .terraform directory or anything called tfstate, well, .tfstate. Or there's a third one, star.tfstate.backup. We don't want that either. I'll tell you all what all this is, but for now you can just put that in your get ignore file. Okay, cool. So we're ready to go. We've initialized this. It's ready to go. Everything's green. Green is good. So in order to know what Terraform is going to do, you need to see the plan. So you just type Terraform plan and go show me what you plan to do. And it will spit out a plan and it'll tell you all this stuff. So you scroll all the way back up. It's going to say, I'm going to build an EC2 instance with this AMI and all this other stuff. I'll tell you once I'm done applying this plan. Well, how do you apply a plan? You'll never believe it. You just run Terraform apply. And then it will ask you, hey, I'm going to make these changes. And the changes are exactly the same as the plan. Do you want me to do that? And you say yes. And then it will go ahead and start creating an EC2 instance. Now, how is it connecting? It's using my access key ID and secret access key that I set up using AWS configure. So it's using my credentials to go into our account here. And if we go look at instances, we should see it start to running. Yeah, so I've got this one that's pending right now. So it's building, and it should probably take another 10 to 15 seconds, and then it should be done. So let's say we want to clean up our code a little bit. We notice that the equal signs aren't lined up, some stuff like that. So you can use another thing called Terraform format, or FMT for short, and you do that and watch the code up here. When I hit enter, boom, now it looks all pretty. It's nice. So one of the things you can do for static analysis and linting and things like that is make sure that you use Terraform format on all of your files to make sure everything is all lined up and looks nice. The other thing you should do before you run anything is you should validate the configuration using Terraform validate. The Terraform validate will actually read through this and do a mock run through your config and make sure it's good to go before you do anything. So it's always good to ask somebody, hey, did you validate this config before you try to run the apply? And the answer should always be yes. So always format your code, always validate your code. All right, so now we should have an instance, and we do. Here it is, but it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a name. I have this test instance up here, but I don't have a name for this one. So let's say we want to give it a name. So I come in here and we want to add some tags. What kind of tag? Let's add a name tag. And what is the name going to be? Let's say the name is test instance 2, because I already have an instance. All right, let's save it. Now, let's do something a little different. Instead of doing a regular plan like we did before, what I want to do is, let's say I want to have a change approval board, and we're going to submit our changes and get them approved in like a Jira ticket and a Jira issue before we actually deploy this change. So what I might want to do is I want to go dash dash out equals, and then I'll just say a file called TF plan. And what this does is it runs a Terraform plan just like you normally do, except instead of it just being on the screen, it saves all of this to a file. And this file can be used to do an approval, and people can run it and see what it does. So once this is approved, then you can actually do a Terraform apply, but instead of just saying apply, you can say apply the TF plan file. Oops, I hit a typo. Apply the TF plan file, and that's how you do that. So there's two ways to do it. You can just run Terraform apply and just go zoop, go for it, or you can say, hey, I have a plan, it's approved. Run the apply command against this file, and it will do it. And it made the change, and you can see here, if I do a refresh, we now have test instance 2. Cool. So let's clean up. So if you want to destroy everything, you just run Terraform destroy. And this will ask you, hey, I'm going to make the following changes to your infrastructure. It's going to read what you have up. It's going to read your state file and go, here's what I'm going to destroy. Is this okay? Yes. And I'll get into state files and all the other stuff later too. Don't worry about it. Just know that that's where it's like saving what you did. We'll just call it that. And this takes about, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. So we can let that run. It should say shutting down and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, shutting down. It'll be terminated here in a sec. So there you go. So you just finished building a single server in AWS. We went over Terraform format, Terraform validate, Terraform init, Terraform plan with or without a file, Terraform apply with or without a file, and Terraform destroy. Congratulations, you've built a server on AWS. If you have any questions, let me know. But if not, I'll see you in the next one.